it tends to keep down other things from happening. And I was in agreement with that, because I think Mr. Jacobs mentioned that, well, you have to not admit guilt and talk with the insurance company and this, that, and the other. And he was like, well, that's what they say, but what we've got to learn to do nowadays, we can't police like we used to police. We've got to police differently, something to that effect. So I really enjoyed that workshop. I wish all of you, Mayor and Commissioner, could have attended, but like I say, the Chief was there, and he can even give you all some more information in depth that I didn't give. Also, I'd like to announce that on October the 1st and 2nd, there's going to be a SOF conference in Tennessee. If anybody's interested, we have a few seats that's going. It's about trying to make our society better, deal with some of these issues that's going on. So I'm sharing that for anybody who's interested. Lastly, first and foremost, I want to thank God that, as far as I know, in the city of Douglas, we're not having the big issues that some other cities are having. So I thank God for that. A lot of it, I think, is the fact that, we do all pretty much know each other in our community. We haven't gotten so big to where people don't know who somebody is. But I think what has to happen is that people have to start being honest about what's really going on. If you don't know what it's like to be harassed, to be stopped, to be whatever, because some of these people that's died, they had their hands up. They kept them where the police could see them. And by no means I want anyone to take that I'm saying this is for all police, because not all police are bad, not all black folks are bad, not all white folks are bad. It goes cross culture. We got some bad and good in every race, and we've got to be honest. But when we are at fault and wrong, we have to take ownership for being wrong. We cannot be trying to cover up when we are wrong. As long as we keep trying to cover up wrong, we're never going to move forward and get to where we need to get to. So we have to assume some responsibility and take ownership. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. We're not in a perfect society. I can sit here and say that you can be harassed or targeted for whatever reasons. I feel like I have been, because I've been very outspoken up here on this council. Nobody else would have been charged about helping somebody to vote. If they were just somebody who went along with everything, they wouldn't have been charged with that. But I was. We live in a society where people don't always do the right thing. And if, like I say, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But we have a responsibility, I feel. We have an obligation to speak out against injustice. We do. After going through what I've been going through, I thought I had been being verbal about things, but evidently I haven't been verbal enough, because it's just not right to treat people wrong. I don't care what race you are or whatever. Everybody deserves to be treated fairly. And that's what I stand for, and that's what I've always stood for. And as long as I'm on this council, whether I'm on this council or not, that's what I'm going to stand for. I'm not going to sit and say, well, so-and-so did that, but they were right, when I know they were wrong. I'm not going to go along with that. I'm not going to go along with that, because at the end of the day, I have to answer to God. I've got to answer for God for what I do. We all got to answer. And I'm not going to let, because I like somebody or whatever, cause me to go to hell for them. So if more and more people in our society will get out of talking about, well, okay, I like them, so I'm not going to go against it. That's not right. That's not right. Just think about it. And you mentioned it, Commissioner Gowan. Do unto others as you've had others to do unto you. What if that's your child? What if that's your child gunned down when they had their hands up? We don't want that to happen to anybody. Some people offended by saying the Black Lives Matter. Some people offended by Back the Blue. Well, I feel one life lost is one too many. I don't care what color you are. You're somebody's child. And I've experienced the death of a child, and I don't want anybody to have to experience that. Now, if you're trying to defend yourself, somebody doing something wrong, that's totally understandable. But if that's not the case, let's just do what's right. Think about if it was your child. if it was your child. Think about the Indian saying, you don't judge me until you walk the mile in my shoes. This thing is real. It's real. And God is going to hold us responsible if we don't do what we can do to make things better. We've got to do what we can do to make things better. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moore.
Thank you folks for coming. I thank you, the employees, for what you do. And thank the citizens of Douglas for supporting this mayor and commission. And we appreciate it. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Roper, how you doing down there?
Doing fine, doing fine. I have sat here and I've observed all that I've heard. And I can say truthfully about those people coming from out of town. They are a group of people. They're not one group. There's a group of people that the churches raises money for them to move from place to place. Yeah, I know. I've been to the meeting. I ain't talking somebody told me. They say for any wrongdoing, but they go there to get arrested. A lot of times they don't get arrested. They get people fired up. And that's what it's all about. And I'm through with that one. I feel that with the training that the officers had at the gun ranges, they can stop a person without killing him. They stopped the man with the bombs. They didn't kill him. And Donald Trump said that you're going to have to get a nurse for him. You're going to have to pay his doctor bill and all this stuff. And I think that's why they've been killing him, because they don't pay the doctor bill. And because he says what he feels. And he said it loud and clear. Everybody ain't listening at him. If they did, they wouldn't have to follow the guy. But my thing is, you got to walk on them. Do what's right. And even then, you're going to have trouble. Even then, you're going to have trouble. But my thing is that we must learn how to live together. We have not learned that. We haven't learned that. We say we have. And we fill up the churches on Sundays. But we don't believe what we have been doing. We believe in the almighty dollar have taken control of the mind of good, honest people. And with that in mind, I want you all to get your heart and your pocketbooks ready. Our Miracle Club is going to need some money. We're going to need some money. And I want you to get on the good side of me and the Lord. And let's help these handicapped children. Get this miracle playground for those children that sit up in those houses. You that lived in Crawford County and Douglas, Georgia, know they're there. John Lee came here in 1947. Left him for 5 years, came back. And they still in there. Some people don't even let you know they got them. They shut up in them houses. Let's give them the same opportunity that the good walking folks got. Let's get your pocketbooks ready. Let's get your money out. Put your pocketbook back. And let's get some money to Stevie over there, City Hall over here, and let's build this hall for these children. Thank you very much. See you next month.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roper. Let me give you a couple comments about the civil unrest over there in North Carolina. I'm glad that Commissioner Gowan did bring up that the majority of the individuals that are arrested actually are not from that city. And I believe Mr. Roper used the word agitators, or people going in there to get everybody excited about this. One of my things is this right here, because trying to make sure that I say what I need to say and say it the correct way. I look at things a little differently. I think that the police have to make a split decision. I think a couple years ago there was a young kid that was killed that had a toy gun. I mean, in a nanosecond, that police officer got to decide whether that's a real gun or not. That's a bad situation all the way around. I mean, it's just a bad bad situation all the way around. And I do think, and I'm always a firm believer in this, it's always a disservice to any group of people or any profession where a small percentile, their points of view and their ideas and their actions or misactions get forecasted on the entire body. I would venture to say there are numerous police officers that do the right thing. There are numerous police officers that do the right thing. But it's a disservice to the ones that do the right thing, that they get categorized with the ones that may not necessarily have the proper training. I do agree. I know one of the things I was talking about this situation, when there's a high-speed chase, the police officer have the discretion to say, well, hey, we got the tag number, we can back off. And look, we'll pick you up in a couple days. I think it's the same when we have these altercations, whether you're serving a bench warrant or a warrant or something like this. It's a very volatile situation, and sometimes the tensions are high. And could the training facilitate, hey, look, it's really not that important. Maybe we'll come back in a couple days. Being in the military, never went to war or anything. The only person that ever drew a gun on was a nun, believe it or not. That's a long story. But now I got to tell you, back in 1984, 85, there was a couple of fighter jets that were shot down. And being a young sergeant, I was in charge of protecting part of the Frankfurt airport, which was under renovation. There was nobody over there. That's why I was over there. I was like 20 years old, and it was roped off, and nobody was supposed to be over there. Well, here comes a nun dying there, and she's walking down the corridor. Well, we have this piece of tape that if you cross that tape, you know what we gonna do. But as she approached the tape, she did this right here. All she wanted was the time, but we had rotated that selector switch to semi because we didn't know. So, but back to my point right here, you know, there's a song that we sang in church that this is the dressing up room down here. You know, we all do have to learn to live together, and there are going to be some missteps. There are going to be some misunderstandings, but we should not let those situations define us. What should define us is that we persevere, that we can overcome, that we are willing to get an understanding from somebody else's perspective. The city manager always says, I appreciate your point of view. Now let's look at it from this point of view. I think that's what we need to do. We need to try to look at from all aspects. I think that, as Commissioner Gowan said, who's been in law enforcement, maybe we do need to update the training, and that could help us out. And on to some better things. Parks and Recreation. You know, I always hear individuals say, hey, the children in Douglas need something to do. Go knock on the door over there at Parks and Recreation. I went out to a football game to watch my nephew play, and let me tell you something, I did not realize it was so many people out there. It actually took me longer to leave that game than it does to leave a Trojan game. I mean, it was just children, cheerleaders, just all over the place. There is something for the children to do in the city of Douglas and Coffee County. It's called the Parks and Recreation. Bring them on down there. I promise you, Stevie, Landy, and Willis, we'll get them on the field or cheering or doing something. That'll give them an opportunity to burn off some of that energy. And for the next thing is the Navy Junior ROTC. You don't have nothing to do? Go join that crew there. If you look around the city of Douglas, they're all over the place. They're at churches, they're presenting flags, they're always here, they were at the barbecue festival, you name it, the Navy ROTC is all over the place. And they do represent some of our best young adults, because they always get criticized. Oh, the youth is this. Oh, the youth is that. Just like we were saying about the police. And I go back to this here, a small segment of the youth